the next 3 days as we gather in person at the European Parliament in Brussels and virtually for world leaders, thinkers, progressives to talk about their priorities for the next decade. We will hear from a wide array of speakers. We will hear from academics. We will hear from world leaders. We will hear from civil society experts, from activists, people such as Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State for the United States, Michelle Bachelet, the High Representative for Human Rights for the UN, a Norwegian footballer and climate activist named Morten Thorsby, Prime Minister Enrico Letta, and many more. But first, every day at 11 a.m., we will start with the news of the day. Here at the European Parliament, we will discuss the morning headlines with members of the European Parliament. And today, I am thrilled to have two members of the European Parliament with me, Christel Schaldemose from Denmark. Hello, Christel.
Hello.
And Katharina Barley from Germany, who is joining us virtually. Katharina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Thank you for having me.
We'll just wait for the line to connect. We'll start with you, Christel. So you are a member of European Parliament for Denmark. You are on the Internal Market and Consumer Protection Committee, and you're actually rapporteur for the Digital Services Act, correct?
That's correct, everything. Yes, I have been a member of the European Parliament for the last 15 years. And today I'm working especially on the Digital Service Act, which is the legislation that makes us hopefully get back with a democratic control over the big tech giants.
Which is very topical because you also had the whistleblower Frances Haugen from Facebook who was here last week. Correct?
True, she came here and told us about her insights from the Facebook. And I think that her testimonies were very important for us in the sense that we learned about how do they work, the platforms, what kind of business models and what kind of practices do they have. And they impact our society, they impact the level playing field for companies, they impact consumers' protection. So in many ways, we really, really need to get back control over them. And that demands a democratic rule book for the tech giants. And that is what we're trying to do on the DSA. But I have to say that it is a little bit difficult at the moment.
When is the vote scheduled for?
The 9th of December.
Okay,
so
coming up.
But and I'm optimistic in the sense that I hope that we will be able to vote. But it's still we're still in the last phase of negotiations, and that's always tricky here in the Parliament.
Of course, but best of luck for that.
Thank you so much.
And Katharina, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you, and I hope you can hear me now.
I cannot hear you. 1 second, let me check.
Oh.
Can you try again?
Yes, I can. I hope that my micro is open. It is. Still a no? We had a good check.
We'll come back to Katharina in a moment. We're having some technical difficulties.
Sorry.
But let's start with your headlines, Christel. You have two for us, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, it's always difficult to choose between all the headlines we have globally, but I think that I took this one, which is it says, India closes coal-fired plants as New Delhi is smothered into toxic smog. I think all of us have heard about the situation in New Delhi and the problems. They can't breathe, the pollution is very, very dangerous. So therefore it's, on one hand, good news that India is now closing some of their coal-fired plants.
Especially with COP26 just behind us.
But that's why I think it's a bit weird, because at COP26 in Glasgow, in the last minutes, more or less, India changed the outcome of the negotiations by saying that instead of getting rid of coal plants, we should just decrease the use of coal plants. And I think so I mean, they should have gone a little bit, they should have been more ambitious in a sense to save the planet but also to save their own citizens. So this is not really something that will help globally, that they are trying to close down coal plants. But I also have to start really changing the way the green transition has not really begun in India, and they have to do something because they need power, but it should not come from power plants. It should come from renewables. So yeah, this is a little step towards helping citizens of New Delhi, but it's not enough as long as India is not really going into the global fight against climate change.
And committing fully.
They should commit fully.
Yeah, you're right. And what is your second piece of news?
Yeah, well, let me find it. No,
And in the meantime, let me see if we can hear from Katarina
Yeah.
again. Can you try again, Katarina?
I can try again.
Ah, there we are. I can hear you.
Oh,
Hello.
fantastic. I could hear you all the way. I'm sorry for this.
That is okay. This is what happens when we hold virtual events. Sometimes there are technical glitches, but it's wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining us. Just to introduce you to our audiences, you are a Vice President of the European Parliament representing Germany. You work on a wide array of issues, I believe. You were former Minister of Justice in Germany before being a member of European Parliament. And you're also a member of the Parliament delegation for the Conference on the Future of Europe, which is very topical right now since we're talking a lot about the future in the Global Progressive Forum. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, well, the Conference on the Future of Europe is a very important tool to participate as citizens in the European future. And we, as a Parliament, have fought very strongly for this conference, and it is ongoing now. There are 800 participants who have been chosen representatively, but also, well, just normal people. But everyone can participate online also. So if you just want to go to your search engine and look for the Conference of Europe, there's a digital platform where you can discuss or participate in events. And I would highly recommend every one of you to give your opinion on what has to change in Europe.
Thank you very much, Katarina. And I believe you also have a piece of news to share with us, a headline to share with us.
Yes, of course. As you said, I used to be a justice minister in Germany, and democracy and the rule of law is my core issue. So my headline deals with decisions on this topic by the European Court of Justice. We know a lot of countries in the world who are having severe problems with the democracy and the rule of law, and we have them, unfortunately, also within the European Union, and it is especially the governments of Poland and Hungary who are where we really have to discuss very hardly on what it means. And the European Court of Justice has issued again a ruling against the Polish government because the justice minister there has the right to randomly propose and renounce judges to advance to higher courts, which is, of course, a pressure instrument and also an instrument of control over other judges.
And what do you think is going to be the next step on the European Union side?
Well, we, as S&D Group, we have always said that the Commission is not severe enough on this topic with these governments. The Commission has started to take action now, slowly. But what we expect from the Commission is to use the new instrument that we have created, the conditionality mechanism, that allows the Commission to hold back financial means in case of systematic breaches of the rule of law. And this is what the Commission should do now.
Great. Thank you very much. Katarina, do you have anything to add on that, Christelle?
No, but I completely agree.
Yes.
We need to do more, and I'm really grateful for what Katarina is doing. And we are, in our group, really united on this topic. We need to be stronger and firmer. If you're a member of the European Union, you have to comply with our rules, and certain member states are not doing so, and then we have to put the pressure on them. And money is always a good tool.
A good motivator.
Yeah, it is.
Let's go to your second piece of news.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of keep in the same topic, because I have this headline saying IMF, the International Monetary Fund, leads push to clean up world carbon pricing system. So, you know, they're polluting, many countries are polluting. We need to make it expensive to pollute. and therefore it needs to cost. We have in EU this system, ETS, where it is costly to pollute. And
for people who don't know the acronym ETS, emission transmissions?
Yeah. It's the trading system for emissions.
Trading system for
but it's very simple. It is a price on pollution, and the thing is that we want to make it more expensive not to make the transition. And therefore, it's a very good and positive news that IMF is now suggesting the bigger polluters to pay a common price of, I think it was $75 per ton pollution. And they really want a global system to make sure that we don't have this high level of pollution. We need to make sure that it costs to pollute, so that they start making the transition, so that the companies by the end of the day will save money if they make the transition. So again, we're back to the money question.
Yeah, money becomes a motivator.
Money is a motivator, and therefore I'm really happy to hear and learn this. Of course, we always need to make sure that when we do these things, either in the EU or globally, we need to make sure that no one can move a factory to another country, either outside the EU or another place in the world.
To find a loophole, basically.
To find a loophole. So we need to make sure we don't have leakage, and that is also why we in EU are working with a kind of a tariff to make sure, we call it the CBAM, but to make sure that you don't move your factory out, or if you send goods, products into EU, that you also comply with our rules for making sure that we have this green transition. So it's a good news for me, but we're still not there. We fight for it, but it is one of the biggest topics. It's about saving the globe, and I think that EU needs to be world leader on this, but it's good also to see IMF coming into the game.
Great, thank you. And Katarina, what is your next headline?
My second headline is one from foreign policy. China and US agree to ease restrictions on journalists. So it touches on both my topics, justice and rule of law, but also on foreign policy. It's both sides. The relationship between China and the US is important for the whole world, and confrontation is always a very bad sign. And there had been tensions that expressed themselves in restrictions, vice versa, US towards China, China towards the US, and not allowing journalists of the other country to do their job. And I think it's very, very important that these two big players in the world find ways to solve their conflicts differently than with these mechanisms. So it's a good news that they have found an agreement on this. And the second aspect, of course, is the freedom of media, which is under high pressure all over the world. And it is such an important pillar of democracy. We are seeing it under pressure in various ways. But this is also one where countries like China do not accept other journalists who report freely and independently, and so I thought this is a good news in both respects.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And for your last piece of news, Christelle, I think you have one last one.
Yeah, and that's, this is not the green transition, but it's the corona. Okay. It's about Pfizer seeks US emergency authorization for COVID-19 pill.
Yes, the pill, I heard about it. It's been in the news all week.
Yeah, and I like that because, we need to make sure that no one is safe until everyone is safe globally. So we need everyone to be protected against the corona. And we have had difficulties with the vaccines. They're costly, and we have had problems also to manufacturing enough vaccines to cover the world. And therefore, I think making a pill that have more or less the same impact will make it easy for us to reach all citizens of the world. And so for me, that's a good story that we see that we have the pill, and that we're trying to make sure that it will not be costly for the poor countries of the world as well. So I think that's good. We need to do it. We still, I mean, in Europe we see it these days with a new increase, a new wave of people infected, and we can see that if you are vaccinated, you are better protected. But if you can have a pill with the same kind of effect, I think that it will be easier and cheaper to reach everyone globally, and we certainly need to do something.
It is a global problem after all.
It is
not just confined to one part of the world.
No.
And finally, Katarina, I think you have one last piece of good news for us as well.
Yes, you asked for good news, and I thought I would bring something from outside the Brussels political bubble, to show that politics can be made by everyone, and also on a small scale. It's about a project of a German school that decided to contribute something to climate change themselves by taking action, by planting trees. And I thought that would be an encouraging news, what everyone can try to do.
Yes, oh, and I believe that we have a video link with Aalen where this is taking place. Is that correct? We will wait for our tech committee to confirm. Can you tell us a little more about the school, Katarina?
Yes, well, it's a school in Aalen, as you said, in North Rhine-Westphalia, our biggest state, and very highly populated. So so a lot of people live in cities, in towns, and the pupils of the school decided that they wanted, as I said, to contribute something themselves, and they planted 120 trees themselves and take care of them, and like this, want to not only leave it to the professional politicians or to the economy or to organizations to do their share when it comes to making the world a better place. And I thought this was really a very, very good idea. They do have websites. I don't know if we can't establish the connection, I would like to give them
Movement
to you.
Method campaign, if I remember correctly. The Movement Method campaign.
Exactly, and it's movemyschool.com, and it's greencarefarm.de, where you can have a look also.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. And Elke Wecker is the principal of Mammoth School there. If I understand correctly, they are in the process of planting these trees this morning as we speak, 120 trees. Fantastic. Thank you both. That was actually quite encouraging as far as news of the day goes, because not all the headlines were that bad.
No, exactly. And I think sometimes we need to be better also to tell the citizens that things are not moving, not everything is moving in a wrong direction.
No.
We have good news as well.
Yeah,
and Katarina's news here is also good because people can do a difference themselves individually.
The motto of the Global Progressive Forum is, if we can dream it, we can do it, which is an adaptation of Walt Disney's If You Can Dream It, You Can Do It. And it's very much in the same vein about empowering people and making them realize that they themselves have the power to make some change. So I'd like to ask what your dream is. Christelle, I'll start with you. What would be your dream for the next decade, since we're talking about the priorities globally for the next decade?
It's simple. It's a cleaner and more equal world for everyone. A safer world when it comes to climate changes, a safer world where we can make sure that people can go to school, that they can have a job where they get salaries they can live by, and they can make sure that they can come to the doctor if they need to. You know, a real good life for every citizen globally. That is my dream.
Wonderful. And Katarina, what about you? What would be your dream for the next decade, the dream that we make reality?
Well, of course, I support Christelle's dream, and I'm very happy that she works hard in Brussels to make it happen. In my field, I would say my dream is that responsible people move from confrontation to cooperation. It's really a dream because, of course, in the history of this world, we have always seen wars and threats and confrontation, but it has become different. We see this hybrid wars digitally, etc. We see places in the world that haven't seen peace for a long time. So this is what I would wish for the world. More cooperation.
Less confrontation and more conversation. That is fantastic. And we are at the beginning of the Global Progressive Forum, of course. We have panels starting from 2:30 this afternoon, all day tomorrow and Friday. There are some incredible speakers that are coming in the European Parliament, and also some that are joining us virtually. Are there any panels or any topics that you are particularly excited about or think that people should tune in to listen to?
I think what is so good with the Global Progressive Forum is that you cover so many different topics. And I think that is our family is the family who covers politics at its every aspect. We have solutions, analysis and solutions on every issue and problem we have globally. So I don't want to highlight one specific. I think that it is important that we can discuss problems and find solutions no matter what kind of problem we are looking at.
So you would recommend that they watch the whole?
Of course, of course.
Tune in for the whole 3 days. And what about you, Katarina? Do you have a particular panel that you're looking forward to in the next 3 days?
Well, I completely share what Crystal said. And when I look at it, I was excited about so many that I don't want to pick one. And the interesting part is that there are people from all over the world who bring in their experiences and their points of view. And that makes it very special. And I think this is very precious that you do this. Thank you for it.
Wonderful. Thank you both very much. Before we leave you, I'm just going to give a small overview of the program coming up for the viewers back watching us from wherever you're connecting. We're going to start again at 2:30 today with one of the co-chairs of the Global Progressive Forum and a colleague of yours, Andreas Schieder. We're also going to hear from Irache Garcia Perez, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her role as the S&D leader. Then we're going to go to a panel on global change. This is going to be moderated by Josep Borrell, the HRVP, and he's going to be talking with Madeleine Albright. We'll also have a message from Michelle Bachelet. At 4, we're going to talk about a fair post-COVID world because, of course, COVID exposed so many inequalities. The rich became richer, the poor became poorer. There was an inequality when it came to access to vaccines as well, which is something that you highlighted with your story about the pill coming out. At 5, we'll talk about creating sustainable growth, how we can grow in a sustainable way whilst supporting a green transition, which is very much something that you highlighted in your news topics as well. And we'll close today with a panel with Prime Minister Enrico Letta of Italy on the future of democracy. What are the challenges for the future? How has the world changed? Now we have interference from foreign countries. You talked about the freedom of the press earlier, Katarina. So all those are some of the topics that we will see today. So thank you very much, everybody watching. Thank you both, Katarina and Christelle, for joining me for the first news of the day. And see you at 2:30.